Hello there, and welcome to yet another episode of my Car Mechanic 2021 series. We're doing a bit of a filler episode in between DLCs, just to kind of be like a little bit of a palate cleanser. Um, Today we are doing an interesting little car. Uh, in the game, it's called an Echos Cobra, and I was like, this car kind of looks familiar, but I couldn't quite place it because it had some familiar features to a car I remember seeing a very long time ago. And so I went and looked it up before, doing the recording. And this is supposed to be a 2013 Dodge Viper clone, essentially. So yeah, we're gonna give this thing full restoration. We're gonna give it a different paint job because I'm just not digging the, you know, slime green paint job. Yeah, looks reasonably good shape. I think it's parts complete. Yeah, looks like it. So this should be a pretty light duty restoration. It's just mostly just take stuff apart, breathe on it, put it back together, or fix it and put it back together, basically. So, yeah, the conditions, you can see it's already, this thing could literally just be, we could probably flip this right now. And yeah, right now we could sell it for a tiny bit of profit, but we're gonna do a full restoration on it, so let's get started. Gonna pull everything off, get everything fixed up. The stuff we can't fix up, we're gonna replace, just like always. Okay, I wasn't sure if that trim, because on some of the cars I've seen like this, the trim piece around the back window is like its own separate part, and I got bit by that once. You gotta kind of watch that when you're dealing with new cars. It's like what they define as part of the body and what's not. If you hear any pops or bangs in the background, it's fireworks. For like the next 10 days, there are people going to be shooting that stuff off. So if you hear within like next week or two in the recording some puffs, pops, or bangs, it's just them. I almost forgot to fix the frame. And we're also getting close to the time frame where they're supposed to stop for the night, and of course they're just now starting up. You know how that goes. Woo, America. Alright. Frame should be 100% now. Yep. Body is still at 7%, which means more than likely we forgot something. Oh, wait. Those are separate parts. Ew. Okay. Now we check it. Now we're at 1%. Okay. I was wondering because I was like, we got just about everything. And I'm like, yeah, check the small stuff. Always helps. So, should be able to, should be able to get most of this cleaned up. Pretty much everything except the glass. And we're going to put custom plates on it, so as soon as we get done here, we'll ditch the plates it came with. We don't want those. Alright, let's take a look. So, sort by edition, license plates, and it looks like, yeah, just the headlights, taillights, and the windows, which I totally expected that. Told you. Alright, so now we need to go to body workstation and just get the... What? Alright, so apparently this stuff is in the tuning area, which I shouldn't be that surprised, I guess. At least some of it is. Let's just go through the list. It looks like it's just the headlights and taillights that are... Wait a minute, why do I have two... Hang on. Left headlight, left taillight. Somehow I marked the right headlight twice. That's interesting. Must have double tapped it when I was looking at things. Okay, so the rest of this should be back over in the regular shop. Good to know. I learn new stuff every day. Yes, right body window. Door window. New windshield. Front left door. Other body window. And truck window. Or trunk window, not truck. Truck on the brain. Okay. That should be everything, but if we double tapped the right headlight, that means we probably didn't mark something else. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we end up having a missing part, but if we do, that's no big deal. We'll get it, we'll put it in there, and we'll figure it out. Like we always do. Well, it looks like we got everything for the front end, so maybe not. Maybe just accidentally double tapped it just because I was in a hurry. Maybe that's what I ended up messing up. Shopping list. Okay. That's weird how I managed to mess that up, but that's okay. Easy fix. Body's 90%, probably because we're missing the custom tags. We're going to make a slight tweak. We're not going to do a theme build, but might do a slightly different... Do a slight variation on my standard plate. Okay. Body and frame are 100%. This. There's no back seat, of course. Left seat, front right seat, steering wheel, and then we'll go to take everything out. And go to the interior shop. My recording schedule for the next week or two is probably going to be a little bit interrupted. Mainly because the times that I normally do my recordings Are also the times where the people outside are doing their thing with the fireworks celebrations because we, like I said, we have 10 where I live that we have 10 days. We're legally allowed to buy and shoot. Well, technically we buy them year round, but can't shoot them off about 10 days a year, and we're starting day 1 or 2 rather of that. Started yesterday, I believe. Yeah, it goes from like the 27th of June to the July 5th. So recordings might be a little sparse. Still do streams because I can work around that. Interior, I bet you I forgot to clean the damn interior. It says 95 and we replaced all the parts. Oh, it sounds like a damn fire extinguisher going off. Okay. Nope. We don't want to do it twice. Let's check. Yep, okay, so body, frame, and interior are all 100%. Ugh. Let's get the wheels taken care of and then we'll probably head on over to paint. Okay. First we're using... Wait, we're using the same tire size on everything? Really? Interesting. Okay, let's get it all apart then. Alright. Alright, so let's go fix the rims. Okay, good to go. Mark one of the tires. We're going to get rid of 3 of them because, like I said, they're all same bloody size. Okay, looks good there. Skip the rim shop, go straight to the tires. Okay. They look 295.30. Let's verify. 295.30 R20. Numbers look like they match up. Good to go. Okay. So get them back together. We'll get them balanced. We'll slap them back on. We'll head over to paint. Oh, did I? Yep. Okay. Thought I messed up there for a second. I was like, nope. I'm good. Making sure we had no more to go. There we go. Let's get this stuff balanced. And we can move on. should be last one. Okay, good to go. Alright, let's get these tires back on. Alright. To the paint booth. Hear this god-awful paint job. Yeah, pearl's too plasticky. I'm kind of digging the red metallic. Doesn't look bad either. Almost gives like a copper color. I like this. Okay. So, libraries. I'm not hating that. Let's move on. Like a dark green? Or am I just imagining that? All the color? No. Now that's an odd true tone. I could live with this. Definitely different looking. When I found out from a friend who is, you know, a long time enjoyer of and well, say not just enjoyer, but a long time worker in the automotive industry. Apparently, that purple color on that last Mercedes Benz that we all worked on was a rare color. But it wasn't. It was a legit color, and had I known it was a limited run of some sort, I would have kept it. Honestly, I would have made it work, but I just didn't know the context behind it, so it's not looking too bad. Kind of wish they had option for like a white stripe or a light colored stripe, but this'll do. Alright, back to the bay with you. It was either that or make this thing like fire engine red or something, or Marlboro red. You know what I'm talking about, like that dark red? Yeah. That's what I was originally going for before I decided to go to the copper color instead. Let's see, drain tool. Rid of everything. Engine oil, we'll have to get that from underneath, obviously. Okay. Well, the oil's in good shape on this one. Not dark, so it's not been, you would think it wouldn't have been used. Okay, we get rid of that. While we're down here, let's take a looky at what we need to remove. Remove the exhaust pipes. Snag that drive shaft. And let's get, come on, back here, thank you. Pop this starter off. I thought Vipers were V12s, but maybe this one that they brought it down to a V8. Interesting. Okay, so all that's unhooked. It'd be relatively set, but let me go fix this stuff up first. Looks like the exhaust pipes weren't fixable, which we were gonna replace them anyway. That's not a big deal. No. Let me go here. Okay, go there. Going over to the tune-up shop. Go ahead and replace these two pipes so we'll have them ready to go for when we get the engine back in the car. Excuse me. Move my drinks around. Alright, so we got all the fluid out. We unhooked all the stuff in the back, so we should be free and clear. Let me go ahead and get the cherry picker. We'll get that over there. If this won't come quietly. Hey, look at that. Almost a salmon color in the engine compartment. It's interesting. Yeah, we'll get the rest of that stuff in there when we get the engine put back in. As per usual. Okay. Ooh, she's chunky. Good. Big sturdy V8 engine. We're gonna tear this thing down to the engine block and crankshaft, which are the only two things we're gonna save. And then we'll build it back up with as many performance parts as we could find. Slap it back in, get the rest of it taken care of, and we'll put this thing through a test on the dyno machine. See what kind of horsepower we get. Looks like maybe a slightly modified in-game V8. It's got these different style ignition coils on it. Could be interesting when we go to see if there's any aftermarket ones or not. Get the oil filter while we're over here. So let's get the throttle. Intake manifold. So go ahead and get the clutch stuff while we're here. Okay, but yeah, it's an older style without the belt tensioner. It's fine. That's a massive water pump. At least it's coming apart rather easily. And again, like I said, it's pretty much a stock V8 that they use for most of the non-DLC cars with the larger engine sizes. Like I said, not a knock against anything, just you start seeing a pattern after a while when you do enough of these restorations. And you're like, oh yeah, this looks exactly like blah blah blah. And it's like, oh okay. And you start saying, well okay, so you kind of get an idea of like what to expect. Alright, so get the spark plugs out before I forget. Alright, we got, again, it's kind of a throwback to the older G8s where we still had like the push rods and the separate rocker arms instead of, you know, like on some modern engines where like the rocker arm stuff's either a kit or it's even sometimes even built into the engine head. Then again, it's a 2013. I mean, it's, to me that's not old, but then again, I'm old, so. To me, an old car is like a car from, you know, the 60s, 50s, you know, maybe the 70s. But yeah, to young kids that are growing up now and getting old enough to drive for the first time, this would have been an old car, even if it was only 10 years old. Alright, that is everything on the top and the sides. Now we just need to flip this over so we can get the pistons and the crankshaft out. Let's do that. Just kind of work our way up the middle. See the pixelation on the bottom of the, or the inside top of the piston there, or the piston head. But then again, it probably could be the fact I have my graphics turned down. I got an old ass PC, what can I say? Oh, jumped ahead of myself here. I'm like, why you no come out? I'm like, that's why. Forgot to do the timing chain. Definitely an old school V8 with the separate camshaft like that in the center versus like an overhead cam. Okie dokie. That's it on the engine disassembly. Go all the way down. The engine block up to 100%, and we'll do the same for the crankshaft. Rest of it's getting sold and replaced. Boom. All gone. Alright, so let's get our first round here. So we got flywheel, fuel filter, oil pump. Like we got 8 pistons, 3 crankshaft bearing caps, a roller, camshaft, and power steering pump. Seems like a good start. We'll add a few things to it, like the rings and the rod caps. Actually, we do actually want to be in here because I want to get. There's a bunch of this that's performance part, or under the performance part list. Okay, got an aftermarket camshaft. 8 pistons with connecting rod. Alright. Well, got ourselves an oil filter, 3 crankshaft bearing caps, first of our rollers, and need 8 standard piston rings, and rod cap. Yeah, let's get all the rest of this bolted on, then we'll work on the internals. Cam gear is going to be next round, I think. Hmm? Oh! Wow. Okay. Alright, alright, alright. When you go to inventory. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, remember what I said? One of these days I knew it was going to come back and bite me here. It's using a slightly modified piston, and it's using a slightly modified piston ring to go with it. Stock, but not stock, you know what I'm saying? You throw just a little bit of a curveball at you. Just, you know, challenge you a little bit. You always figure out a way around. You don't let a puzzle keep you stumped for very long. That goes for most things in life. Alright. Should be ready for the next round. Nope. Do that. Okay. Just want to double check. So got ourselves an oil pan. Clutch plate. Like a cam gear. 2 engine heads. I think that's it. Engine head B. Engine head A. Brand new aftermarket clutch plate. Okay, everything else is... I'm glad my noise gate canceled most of that, because that was... I got real quiet there because there's somebody trying to, like, impress somebody by driving their little beater car at, like, sounded like a excessive rate of speed. You know, it's one of those cars that, like, when they shift, it makes that little crackly popping sound like the little street racing cars do. And it's like, dude, no, you're not impressing anybody with that stuff. Like, try harder. Anyway. The engine's straightened out. Like, we got everything, so we're doing the next round here. So we'll do clutch pressure plate, both exhaust manifolds. And get the timing chain. Need a bracket for, it's like the alternator. This power steering is already in. Yeah, an intake manifold. And we're going to need, let's see, 2 of those per cylinder, so 16. And 8 spark plugs. Alright, so let's head back over to the performance shop, see what we can get. Okay, there's our pressure plate. 2 exhaust manifolds. Got you. Timing chain standard part, arm standard part, intake manifold. There we go. And 8 aftermarket spark plugs. I'm going to hold off on buying the rocker arms because if the rings are non-standard, the rocker arms probably are too. So we'll get those on a separate round. So timing chain, little extendo arm for the alternator, and like I said, 16 these because I doubt there's anything resembling a aftermarket high performance push rod. I mean, it's literally just a metal rod. These are, yeah. See, they're not the bog standard V8 ones. So this is starting to look less and less like a stock one. At least from the outside, it looked pretty stock, but it ain't. And that's fine. You know, keeps us on our toes. I like that. Game keeps you thinking. While yes, you're doing this pretty much the same style of thing every time. Each one of these cars is a unique puzzle in its own right. Think about it. Get these other spark plugs in. Alright, get the intake manifold bolted in. I know this is not 100% simulation, but it looks like those push rods are basically like hot dog in a hallway situation. Just saying. Just saying. Okay, we've got the clutch pressure plate. We'll get that. But you always want to check your inventory, make sure you don't have any spare parts that you're not expecting to have. Like, I'm expecting to have these because that's what we took off, you know, to get the engine earlier. Let go. What? That was weird. Back to assembly mode. Now we need 16 of these. Okay, got our clutch release bearing, timing cover, throttle, alternator, and both fuel rails. It's not a complex build. It's just using slightly different parts. I mean, overall, it's essentially leaning more towards the old school V8s like you'd seen in some of the older non-DLC cars, but with some modern stuff in it. So it's like an interesting mix. It's not bad. It's not bad. Not complaining in the slightest, just merely making an observation. Okay, got your fuel rails. That is a standard part, that's a standard part, and that's a standard part. Okay. Okay, so take a note of this part here. And if I go, there's a whole butt ton. And the stock ones, like the ones I almost bought before I realized, hey, you know, maybe I should pay attention because I'm seeing non-standard parts. This is the bog standard one you see on most of the older V8 engines for the older builds that you, or the older cars that you can rebuild. But yeah, there's all kinds. This is like the one we're using. This is another variation that looks similar but not the same. You get the wrong part, it's just going to say, hey, you don't have the part. You know, there's no real penalty to it. Just slows you down is all. So one thing to keep in mind when you're trying to be efficient, aka you're like me, sometimes you try to get in a hurry and you think, oh, this is just a bog standard V6 or V8 or inline 4, and then you go and buy the bunch of parts ahead of time thinking that, you know, oh yeah, this is just going to bolt right together, and turns out it's not as standard as you think. Again, not the end of the world, just, you know, it's an easy fix most of the time. You just sell the stuff and buy the parts you want and you move on. Meanwhile, you just kind of shake your head and you're like, yeah, okay, I screwed up. You accept your mess up and you move on. No big deal. Okay. So, oh yeah, I want to get that clutch release bearing on there before I forget. Okay, let's get these rocker arms put in. Right, the other side. One thing I do find interesting though is that it has coil packs, right? And you'll see where the coil pack, or when we were taking this apart, you saw the coil packs we were taking off and where they were located. And then you look and see where the actual spark plugs are, and there's like no direct connection to them. It's like, I know, not 100% simulation, but still. Okay. We are ready for head covers, water pump, and a pulley. I think we got all the stuff back here. We did, okay. Alright, let's move on. I don't think any of this is... Yeah, these should all be standard parts. If they're not, then so be it. See what I mean? The coil packs just, or the ignition coils just sit on top of that cover, and that's it. I mean, it's yeah. So we need 8 of those, and I bet you those are going to probably be aftermarket. Yep. And judging by the look of things, that's probably going to be the only performance part on our current list. Right? We'll go ahead and bolt these on since we're looking right at it. mean, I know like in real life this thing's probably got like a wire going down to it or something, but it's just weird. It's like they just leave it hanging like that, and it just looks weird. Again, not criticizing, just merely an observation. Alright, let's get the rest of these coil packs on. Or, I keep calling them coil packs, but you know, they're ignition coils according to the game. Should be pretty darn close to being done with this thing. Okay, art. Could have like one more roller to put on. Yep. No man, looks like we're done. See, you can see it has more horsepower because a bunch of the stuff's red that wasn't red before. It's a joke. Yeah. You know, they joke about like, you know, painting the car red adds horsepower or something, yeah. Yep. I think we got everything. If we didn't, the game will certainly let us know. I'm not seeing any grayed out parts. Everything looks kosher. Alright, let's get her out of here. Put her back in the car and move on with our life. Okay, drop that in for me, please. Thank you. And then please, for the love of God, go away. Alright. So, next step here in this little process here is we're going to start taking everything else out of the engine compartment. We'll eventually get the gearbox and everything else put back on, but I want to get everything here first squared away. I'm going to redo this because I think I misclicked something when I was... Let's try it again. Because I've accidentally... One of those... one of these I was trying to click, I accidentally clicked the base of the fuse box instead of the actual fuse, so I wanted to redo it just to make sure I got them all. Come on. I'm not adding the fuse boxes to the list mainly because you can generally fix those up. These clips are going to come out. That's everything. Okay, let's see what we can fix up here, shall we? Basically put it on there, count to 5, pull it back off. If only they charge that fast in real life. If you try to charge a lead acid battery that quickly to 100%, you'd probably do some serious damage to it, or maybe even cause it to go, maybe not boom, but it definitely would damage it, I would think. Plus, it would probably take us just a stupid amount of power to even attempt that. I don't know. Car experts can chime in on the comments if they want. I'm not a mechanic, so... And I'm not into bursting lead-acid batteries. I've seen what the acid can do to... The acid inside, or the electrolyte inside them can do to, well, anything. Whether it's people or cars. Yeah. Chemical burns are a thing. Okay, so that got us pretty damn far, actually. The fuse box top and bottom are good. Fan's good. Fixed all the clips, which is nice. The filter, air filter base and top are good. ABS is peachy. The only thing we didn't get was, you know, most of the consumables, except for like a couple of the reservoirs. So, yeah, that's fine. So let's go ahead and add you, you, and you, because everything else is already on the list. All the fuses and relays are already accounted for there. Trying to articulate that as best I can. Right. Time to get rid of stuff. There we go. And go to, might as well go to the electrical and get that stuff knocked out first. ECU. Have anything else? There's air filters in the aftermarket shop. Okay. Here. Get the brand new aftermarket air filter. It's only a 1% increase, but still, every bit counts. Right. Everything else. Well, we'll go back to electrical for the fuses, but I'm trying to get everything else but the fuses and then work on those. So I may be a little scatterbrained, but at least I have a plan of some sort. Okay, I think that's it on the non-electrical stuff. Okay, relay type A, 3 relay type Bs, 4 relay type Cs. 3 medium fuse A's. 3 medium fuse B's. Got you. And medium fuse type C. Right. Okay, looking good so far. Right, time to knock out the fuse box here. Okay. It's there. Ain't got anything that's missing. Looks like everything's there. I'm gonna go ahead and start putting fluids back in. Get in there. This one I deliberately overfill. Force a habit. Okay. Alright, everything in the engine compartment's done, it looks like. Let's get this thing up in the air. We'll get the first set of exhaust pipes reconnected and the gearbox and the starter put back on. We'll hold off on putting the drive shaft back on until we get the rear suspension rebuilt. No sense putting it on if we have to end up taking it back off to replace the parts anyway. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So now we have just the drive shaft. So all the engine compartment stuff is done. So we're going to work on probably getting the exhaust system. Switch it back to unmount so we can actually take the stuff off. We're going to do the fuel system and the exhaust. And almost all of this, except for one, is going to be a aftermarket part. The only thing that isn't is the fuel tank. Anybody trying to sell you a performance gas tank is going to probably sound like someone trying to sell you a left-handed tennis racket. Just saying. Or somebody sending you into a, you know, parts store looking for blinker fluid, you know, that kind of hee-hee kind of moment, you know. Actually, since we only have one that's not a performance part, let's do that one first. That out of the way. So here, and get everything else. So 2 rear mufflers. I bet this thing's going to sound like $1 million when we get it running. Okay, 2 brand new cats. And 2 middle mufflers. aka resonators. So yeah. Alright. You in there. And you. Okie dokie. Should be back to, yeah, just the drive shaft. So, as it stands right now, we could ship this thing as is, but we're not going to because we're trying to do 100%. But let's take a look at it anyway. So, we're already in the green. We're 89%. So, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be doing the, because all we have left at this point is the front and rear suspension. So, we're going to get these tires off for one thing. We're just going to go ahead and pull, once we get the tires off, we're going to pull both the front and rear suspension off. Take the assemblies apart that we need to take apart. and then fix what we can and replace what we can't. Slap this all back together and get it in alignment, and it's off to the dyno room. Just like that. Okay, really doesn't matter which end we do first. Let's just go ahead and, since we're up here, let's do the front suspension first. Normally we do the rear suspension, but maybe it's good to vary things up a little bit from time to time. Back up there. Click on the wrong thing and it sends the camera quite a distance. Give me. Thank you. Just about done taking the front suspension apart here. Come on, give me. Thank you. Alright. Sorry if I'm talking in kind of a hushed voice. I'm a little more tired than usual. It's been an interesting 24 hours. In a mostly good way. Still chasing down some job leads, but I had some that fell into my lap that I didn't know about until yesterday. And chasing them down right now. Hopefully something finally comes out of this and I can return to the land of the employed. At least for a while anyway. Oh yeah, I forgot about the dang bushings. It's got a rear cross member on it. Nice. Almost forgot about those bushings. Right, let's get this part here. Like I said, good thing about this car, like I said, everything's in reasonably good percentage-wise condition. So we should be able to save just about everything except the consumables. This build's been going pretty smoothly so far because of that. And that's also a lot of the reasons why I end up picking cars that are in like garbage tier condition. Like if I find one on, back when I was hunting cars for the DLCs, I tried to find the cars for the DLCs in the worst possible condition because I wanted to be able to have more content for the videos, because stuff like this, yes, it's still fun to take it apart and, you know, fix it up, but this thing's already in good shape, so you're not really seeing much of a transformation of the car. You know what I'm saying? Because the car is already, we could have, like I showed you at the beginning, we could have flipped this thing for a small profit, and this would have been like not even a 5-minute video. But I wanted the car, ideally I want the cars to be in like just absolute terrible shape, like ideally speaking like a junkyard find. That's why a lot of those cars, especially some of those ones where like, hey, this is going to have a lot of work to it, those are the good, to me, the better episodes, in the sense that you guys get to see more of the restoration process. Yes, I am doing the same thing with this that I'm doing with every other car I do, but with those ones that are missing a lot of parts, that are like completely rusted out, it's nice being able to see this complete and utter transformation of this literal hunk of rusty metal turned into a mint condition dream car, you know. But, you know, RNG being what it was, and I was wanting to get this stuff, you know, done in a, let's just say, feasible amount of time, I opted for, if I couldn't find it, because I kept going between the auctions and the junkyard to find what I was looking for, because I had to rely on RNG to have uh, the cars I wanted. And so if I couldn't find it after extensive searching, then I was like, all right, it's first time it pops up, as long as it's not in like 100% condition, I'll get it. And that's why we got this car in this condition, basically. So, yeah. I mean, we're still having to restore it. I mean, there's stuff in here that's kind of rough shape, like this here, but it's not in that rough a shape, you know. This is more like, okay, this is kind of what you'd almost expect for a 10-year-old car. Stuff that's worn but not worn out. Stuff that's it's not brand new, but it's not rusted out, and you're not looking at like, you're not seeing holes through the frame or anything, you know. Not that you would in this game, but you know what I mean. So with a lot of these DLCs, I ended up having a number of cars that were 3 to maybe 4-star. You know, stuff that was visibly, you know, like from the outside, looked like you didn't need any work at all. But they're not 100%, and this whole YouTube series is about restoring cars to 100%. So even if we get one that's in really good shape, like this Echos Cobra, aka the Dodge Viper, there's still work to be done. You know, much like in real life, you want to get it to mint condition, showroom, you know, quality, or car show quality, if you want to look at it that way. There's still plenty of work to be had. So it's all on how you look at it, really. Sounds like things might have actually quieted down outside. That's good. We're after the 10 o'clock shutdown for the fireworks. Not that anybody really pays attention to that out here. Okay, that should be it. And I don't think we could do any kind of special stuff for anything else. Yeah, let's go fix stuff. Now I'm going to get into focus mode here. I'm going to warn you ahead of time this time around. If I don't talk much, that's why I'm trying to focus on getting the parts fixed. So, because of the mini game thing. Which isn't hard, but when you're tired and, you know, you're taunting yourself with the caffeine that you haven't had it all today, you kind of tired. But anyway. Okay, looks like we're going... Things are going pretty well so far. Not surprised, you know, given the overall quality of the car. I have a feeling we're going to have some good head scratchers, or at least some interesting stuff happening with the Lotus DLC. I mean, it's only 2 cars, but it's a different car, you know. I'm looking forward to the Nissan one as well. I have a lot of friends who drive Nissans, and they rave about them. Alright. So we should be in pretty good shape with this. Let's have a look. We got all the way into page 3 before things went below 100%. So let's just make our list. Alright. Sell all the old stuff. And let's go buy new stuff. See that? I must have missed one. Easy fix, though. Last I checked, this car does not have 3 wheels, it has 4. So, 2 wheel hubcaps. Oh. Sure. Okay. Like I said, I'm like half awake right now, so just bear with me. And a couple of outer tie rods. I mean, I'm tired, but even I saw the fact that I was, you know, the counts were off, so to speak. Okay. 4 wheel hub bearings. You play this game enough, you start seeing patterns, and as soon as you see a number that doesn't line up, you're like, uh-huh. Okay, a couple of front springs. Double wishbone shocks. 2 shock caps. 2 inner tie rods. Okay, there's your rear sway bar. Okay, 2 rear shocks. Why did I only mark 1 of those? That's weird. I must have not clicked the thing I thought I clicked, but anyway. Weird. Did that too with that. Must have gotten in a hurry clicking. Either that or my... I don't know. Blame it on the mouse or something. Or the lack of caffeine. Or both. Anyway. Join parts. At least they were easy screw-ups to fix, you know? Play the game enough, you know what to expect in terms of parts on most of the cars, and when you're looking at this stuff and you're like, hey, wait a minute. You start seeing things very quickly where it's like, hey, we're missing something here. It's basically like an error checking algorithm after a while, because you do this kind of, you know, restoration stuff enough times, it just kind of becomes an automatic correction, sort of. It's like, to me, I know this is kind of an odd comparison, but I do a lot of building on Minecraft, and I tend to follow design patterns in my, usually stuff off the top of my head, but I have like a specific style that I follow most of the time, and by having that style, typical style that I use for building, I can spot most of the time when I screw something up and fix it. It's that same kind of mental, what do you want to call it, process, I guess. And we'll get these bushings in before I put that tire on. And let's get this side thrown together. We'll move on to the front suspension. Oh, oh, come on, get me back over there. All right, just about there. Okay, let's get this caliper put on, and then, yep, should be able to put the tire on now. Do a quick look over, make sure everybody's got what they need. And any parts. Getting pretty good. Yep, I think we're good. Alright. Rear suspension's looking pretty spiffy now. Let's do the front. All the preliminary stuff installed first. Coming together nicely. Looking to make sure I got everything before we move over to the other. Oh. That could have been. We get the rest of them is the question. Those two are in. Let's go over here. Okay, so I guess I just missed just that one. That's good. Didn't mess up too badly then. All right. Just about done with this car. Ran into a few interesting things here, but, you know, like I said, nothing earth-shattering. Build's been going pretty smooth. Thankfully, the neighbors have also kept their nonsense to a minimum. Again, like I said, future videos are probably going to be a little chaotic in terms of time frames. I'm going to try to keep some sort of schedule, but there's a good chance I may not. It may be bad enough out there where I might not even be able to record just because of the sheer amount of background noise. I mean, you heard some of the bangs earlier in the video. That's just going to get worse as, I mean, not so much this week, but as it gets closer to the 4th of July holiday here in the U.S., big holiday. People love shooting fireworks off, and I have no problem with that. Except if I'm trying to do recordings, because I don't have a dedicated studio that's away from all this stuff, which I'm hoping to rectify that someday. Anyway, so inventory is empty. And we're at 100% part condition on everything. We did it. Group effort. Alright. Good job, everybody. So, with that in mind, we're going to go over to the alignment room. We'll get the headlights and the wheels aligned. Yep, back up. There you go. Believe it or not, that's actually surprisingly hard for me to see. Could be just a contrast to my monitor. Cool. Done and done. Oh, no. Didn't need a hood. Right click. Move over to the dyno room. So here we're going to see how much extra performance we're able to pack into the engine and the exhaust. Yes, I want to continue. So 505 horsepower, pretty decent from the factory. 494 pound-feet of torque, also pretty respectable. Let's see where we end up. It's got a nice little rumble to it. Damn. 853 horsepower, so a gain of 348, so a 69 nice percent increase. 824 pound-feet of torque, so a gain of 331, so a 67% increase respectively. Not bad. Not bad at all. Alright, let's get you out front. We'll get some pictures. Oop. Okay. Okay, that's going to be a thumbnail for the video. That one's going on Discord later. Alright, let's go to the speed track. I want to see how fast this thing can go. I'm kind of excited about this. I want to see how this thing flies all across the road. Alright. Ooh, just snazzy interior. Simple but effective. Alright. So, hopefully everybody's strapped in. Let's go. Had to double tap the start there because we were squeaking a tire or something fierce. So 120 and 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 and 70. Getting an ear massage from the engine. 180. 190. 203 before we hit the end of the... Had this been a longer track, I think we probably would have been able to go faster, because I don't think we hit the... We didn't max her out. Like, we didn't peg her out, like, at all. So, yeah. 203, that's still pretty dang respectable. I like it. I've always wanted to drive one of these. You ever seen the motorcycle they made out of the V12 that came from the older Vipers? I think they had a V. Didn't they have a V12? I mean, anyway, they took the engine out of whatever the size or displacement or cylinders of the engine. They took a Viper engine and turned it into a motorcycle, and the thing had like this like side by side front tire thing that kind of slid like that when it turned. It was so weird though. I don't think they've made very many of those. Like it was more like a concept thing anyway. So, alright. Got a little copper colored lady here. Let's take a look at our numbers, shall we? So, bought it for $66,000 at an auction. A little over $66,000. You can see the condition bonus, the performance and parts values, body value, how all that stuff factors in. So we're selling this for $144,718 for a profit of $78,593. Yeah, kind of doubled our money on it. Not bad, not bad. And she's out the door. Cool. That was a fun build. Alright, let's do some cleanup work here. So we got the Lotus Esprit, we got the first of the Lotus cars, so we're going to put that in Bay 1, because that's going to be the next episode. Car that's been in countless TV shows and movies. Driven by celebrities and rich people, other rich people, you know. And this is the other Lotus. This is the Elise S1. As you can see, she's a little crunchy in terms of quality here, but we're going to put her in Bay 2 because that's going to be 2 episodes out. Or this is going to be the second episode after that. And it's only, and this is the entire DLC. It's just those 2 cars. So it's going to be really short. We're going to be jumping into another filler car, because we're going to be going from there to another DLC, the Hinata Moon MK1. We're going to give this one the standard treatment and get it all restored and looking pretty, because she's kind of looking a little rough around the edges, you know. This is the kind of car we like to work on because, like I said earlier, we want to be able to have something that's good content and that's going to be able to show quite the transformation when we go to restore it to 100%. And I think this is going to be another good candidate. So we're going to put you in position 2. That's going to be 3 episodes out. I'm looking forward to this one. This one looked like it could be an interesting experience. So let's go pull another car out of storage, and this time we're actually going to pull one of the Nissans out and keep it out here. Not going to put it back like I did last time because I can't count for love or money. I'm a programmer, not a mathematician. Big difference there. Just kidding. So yeah, we're going to do the 370Z Nismo, or Nismo, however you pronounce it. Move to garage M. Okay, I was hitting enter, but sure. Right. It's going to get a new paint job. It's going to get all fancy inside stuff. Ooh, it's got a little stiffener going across everything with the logo and everything. Sweet. This is another one that's like it's gonna be in decent shape and work on it, but we're gonna make it look nice. We're gonna make it look nice to me. You know, like I want to make this have less of a gaudy paint job. Sorry. Yeah. So that's gonna be 4 episodes out, and we're gonna have plenty more Nissans to work on after this because I think there's like, oh, let's check parking here. Loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 in that DLC. We'll do a filler car and then do the Mazda. Do another filler car. And then we're going to do these guys, which are like from here down and this guy. So like 4 cars. Those are 4 out of technically 8 because they have 2 variants of each one. So I only did 1 variant. 4 cars that came with the Drag Race DLC. They got like my NT8, Hammerdale, Strahl. Yes, I'm butchering the name, but you get the idea. Reza Cortona, aka I think it's the Ferrari F40 clone, I believe, or something close to that. That one I'm looking forward to because I actually bought that a long time ago and I was going to do it as a one-off, but then I was like, you know what, I might as well do all the stuff from that DLC since I saw that there was a whole group of cars that came with it. I thought it was just the drag racing stuff itself, but apparently it came with cars, and this is one of them. And then the Bolt Reptilia R6, which is the styled after, I think, one of the more recent generations of the Corvette, I believe. Because Bolt is... yeah. You got Salem's Ford, Bolt's Chevy, basically. I had to kind of keep that weird equivalence in there. So we still got some filler cars, like an Echos Imperator. I've done at least 2 or 3 of these off camera. Actually, I did some of those on stream back when I used to stream this. These go for a nice price when they're fully restored. FMV Roadster, that one's going to be another nice little filler car, and then that's it. We're fast approaching the end of the original content that I wanted to do. Now, here's the question I have for you guys. We're getting towards the end of the content here. Do you guys actually want to see electric car DLC cars? Because I hadn't considered to do them before. In fact, I was very much against it when I started this series. However, I have kind of warmed up to the idea of doing it. Just to kind of, you know, for sake of completeness, if nothing else. Let me know in the comments, and or come find me on Twitch while I'm streaming on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evenings, and tell me in person. You know, be more than happy to get feedback on that. So let's head back into the shop. We'll close things down for the night. So that's our plan. That's all the stuff we have left. You notice there's, like I said, we're getting pretty close to the end of the original list of cars that we were going to do, and we're like somewhere in the mid-40s now in terms of the number of episodes, which I'm very grateful that you guys are sticking around for that long. We've got some really good responses in terms of views. Y'all like the Mercedes-Benz DLC a lot, don't you? I can tell. I'm glad you guys do. That was a very fun DLC to do. So with that, I'm going to turn you guys loose. Thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you get the alerts for any videos or streams that happen on this channel. I will be eventually doing some other YouTube series once this starts to wind down. I haven't decided what yet, but I'm still working on that because I got a lot of things going on right now that require my attention, more or less. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video, right? Take care.